Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Mastu Tarasata Sri Sima His Divine Graces Abhay Charanara Bindu Bhakti Vinanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Sisi Gorni Tai Ki Jai Sisi Radha Govardhana Dari Ki Jai Krishna Balaram Sri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading this morning from Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17. This chapter is entitled The Pastimes of the Lord in His Youth, and we're reading texts 188 through to one more. Sorry? 985, yes, we've got a few verses. Kaji Kahe Iha Ami Kare Na Kahila Se Dina Amara Eka Piyada Aila Kaji Kahe Iha Ami Karena Kahila Kaji Kahe Iha Ami Karena Kahila Sedina Amara Eka Piyada Aila Kaji Kahe Iha Ami Karena Kahila Sedina Amara Eka Piyada Aila. Someone else? Vaishnavis? Kaji Kahe. The Kazi said, Iha, this, Ami, I, Kare, to others, Na Kahila, did not tell, Sedina, on that day, Amara, my, Eka, one, Piyada, orderly, Aila, came to see me. Translation. The Kazi continued, I did not speak to anyone about this incident, but on that very day, one of my orderlies came to see me. Please repeat. The Kazi continued, I did not speak to anyone about this incident, but on that very day, one of my orderlies came to see me. No purport. We'll read the next verses. After coming to me, the orderly said, when I went to stop the congregational chanting, suddenly flames struck my face. My beard was burned, and there were blisters on my cheeks. Every orderly who went gave the same description. After seeing this, I was very much afraid. I asked them to stop the congregational chanting, but to go sit down at home. Then all the meat-eaters came to submit a petition complaining, after this order there will always be unrestricted congregational chanting in the city. In this way, the religion of the Hindus will increase unlimitedly. There are always vibrations of Hari, Hari. We do not hear anything but this. One meat-eater said, the Hindus say, Krishna, Krishna, and they smile, cry, dance and chant and fall on the ground, smearing their bodies with dirt. Text 195, translation, vibrating, Hari, Hari, the Hindus make a tumultuous sound. If the king, Patashaha, hears it, certainly he will punish you. Purport. Patasaha refers to the king, Nawab Hussain Shah, whose full name was Ala-ud-Dina Sayyid-Yada Hussaina Shah, was at that time, 1498 to 1511, the independent king of Bengal. Formerly he was the servant of the cruel Nawab of the Habshi dynasty named Mujapahara Khan. But somehow or other he assassinated his master and became the king. After gaining the throne of Bengal, technically called Mashnada, he declared himself Sayyada Hussaina Ala-ud-Dina Serifa Mukha. There is a book called Rijaya Ush Salatina, whose author, Gholama Hussaina, says that Nawab Hussain Shah belonged to the family of Mukha Serifa. To keep his family's glory, he took the name Serifa Mukha. Generally, however, he is known as Nawab Hussain Shah. After his death, his eldest son, Nasharatsa, became king of Bengal, 1521 to 1533. This king was also very cruel. He committed many atrocities against the Vaishnavas. As a result of his sinful activities, one of his servants from the Koja group killed him while he was praying in the mosque. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhaite Gurim Yakripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. So I thought just to invoke a little further auspicious invocation. For those who love shlokas, Krishna is famous as Uttama Shloka, he who is glorified with the choicest poetry. So I heard this verse decades ago. It was spoken in a class by one of my revered senior Bengali sannyasi godbrothers, but I never caught where it was from. But doing some reading recently, I found it. So it was very exciting, for me at least. And it's quite a famous verse in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's found in this wonderful little book, Sri Caitanya Caritamrita by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. So, it doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with this, these verses, but I thought, as I say, to invoke a little further auspiciousness, it's worth sharing with you. I'll read the Sanskrit. It's worth noting also that Prabodhananda Saraswati was the uncle of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and served as his guru. He was one of the three Bhatta brothers, Bhattacharya brothers in Sri Rangam, where Caitanya Mahaprabhu stayed 1 year on his tour of South India for the entire 4 months of the rainy season. Gopal was just a small boy at that time. He was the son of Venkata Bhatta. And one doesn't receive the honorific title Saraswati lightly. That has to be conferred upon one, which indicates one is a great scholar and realized soul, as Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati most certainly was. Vanchito Shmi, Vanchito Shmi, Vanchito Shmi na samshayaha, Vishvam Gora Rase Magnam, Spasho Pi Mama Nabhavat. Translation: I am cheated, I am cheated, I am cheated. Of this there is no doubt. Although Lord Gora has plunged the entire world in a flood of love of Krishna, I have not been touched by even a single drop. So here, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati is playing the role of an ordinary conditioned soul who's lamenting, but actually that is the position, of course, of Uttama Adhikaris. They see everyone else as serving Krishna except themselves. But actually they're the dearmost servants. I am cheated, I am cheated, I am cheated. Of this there is no doubt. Although Lord Gora has plunged the entire world in a flood of love of Krishna, I have not been touched by even a single drop. So, this is a very dramatic pastime here of Mahaprabhu in his youth. The events, because we have a guest here this morning, thank you for attending the class. We're studying and have been for many years now this great medieval devotional literature called Caitanya Caritamrita. It's a wonderful. It chronicles the pastimes of the most recent incarnation of Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only 500 years or a little more ago. So, and of course this pastime, Prabhupada often spoke and wrote about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being the originator of the first civil disobedience movement, even hundreds of years before Mahatma Gandhi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when the Islamic rulers of large parts of India at the time were desecrating temples and persecuting Hindus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu organized civil disobedience. He was such an influential personality, being Krishna himself, that he was able to inspire not short of 100,000 persons to march on the Qazi's house in the evening with flaming lamps and tumultuous kirtan. And the Qazi, who was the district magistrate, or at least the governor, you could say, of that particular part of Bengal, he was terrified. So these, but then it all works out well, as we'll read in coming verses. Krishna does say, Paritranaya sadunam vinashaya tarduskritam dhamma samstat anataya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a decline in religiosity and a predominant rise of irreligion, I descend myself. In order to re-establish religious, protect the pious, thank you, Prabhu, yes, and annihilate the miscreants, yeah. The Duskritinas get severely chastised, and Paritranaya Sadhunam, the saintly persons, or even the innocent people, they're protected. And Krishna speaks transcendental wisdom, and enlivens his devotees by performing extraordinary superhuman pastimes. So, and he empowers his devotees to continue on with the traditions. Sometime after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wonderful pastimes, which wasn't a very happy time for Hindus living in India in many places, but there were very powerful devotees would appear again and again and carry on the spiritual traditions that Mahaprabhu had inaugurated. And one of those is Baladev Vijayabhusana. And he wrote a wonderful commentary, the first commentary by any Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya on the Vedanta Sutra, which he titled Govinda Bhasya. And Srila Prabhupada dedicated his commentary on Bhagavad Gita to Baladev Vijayabhusana, who has so nicely presented Vedanta philosophy in Govinda Bhasya. And in his commentary, Baladev Vijayabhusana gives a wonderful analogy, and that is that water is already present underground, but one has to make the effort to dig a well to get that water, and then that water can, of course, be used for so many different purposes. As we all know, pretty much we can't live without water, and it's said that Brahminical persons especially cannot live without an abundance of fresh water, being inclined to take bath 3 times a day. Not once a day, not even once a week. Prabhupada was astonished when he came to New York City and he realized that some of his early students were living in apartments where there was no bathing facility. They would have to go to other friends' places to take bath. And our dear Harisori Prabhu used to tell us how when he was growing up as a lad in Scunthorpe in the north of England, the habit was just to take bath once a week. And if there were many children in the family and you were the last child to get in the tub, it wasn't pleasant. So these different... So water is very important. So water is there, but you have to make the effort. It's already there, but you have to make the effort to find it. So Baladev Vijayabhusana uses this example that happiness is already within us. We just have to go to the effort to discover it. And that is, of course, the great adventure of self-realization and God-realization. The two go very nicely together. But that does require some effort. If you're digging a well, you may go down some distance, but the water is not there. You have to keep digging. And first of all, of course, you have to have some idea that there's definitely an underground stream there. So this example is there. And another similar example found in the Upanishads is of the musk deer. Musk deer have a gland in their navel which emanates the most celestial, ambrosial fragrance, musk. But the musk deer is not a highly intelligent creature. It can smell this almost divine fragrance, but it doesn't know where it's coming from. So it goes here, it goes there. It goes up on the top of the hills, down into the valleys, even sometimes strays into the desert. It's searching for that happiness, that fragrance. It doesn't realize that it's actually emanating from its own body. So, of course, in the modern materialistic world, people are very much, their consciousness is projected outwards into the world. So People are going here, going there, depending on their means. Just like we had 2 nice holy days at the beginning of the week, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance and Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur's disappearance. Holy days, and devotees like from time to time to go to holy places for our holy days. Holy places being where holy persons do holy things. But materialistic people, they have no inclination, no interest in that, so they'll go to places where very mundane forms of sense enjoyment or a change of scenery or whatever. So it was very nice, and especially Tuesday, Vinod Bihari Prabhu very wonderfully linked together the pastimes that they're also very dramatic pastimes we're hearing about in the Bhagavatam at the moment and have been for quite some time. The pregnancy of Diti and her husband Kasyapa, 2 great demoniac personalities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And he managed to, Vinod Bihari, to connect that to the appearance of Bhaktivinoda and the disappearance of Namacharya Haridas Thakur, who also was born in a family outside of the Vedic culture, which was very strict, born in a Mohammedan family and underwent great persecutions. As a result of that, though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he accepted whatever punishments were being meted out to Haridas. He's very merciful. But still, it was a challenging time in history, medieval Bengal and Orissa. So people very ignorant of actually their real self-interest and also even who we are. It's fair to say that many folks throughout the world are suffering from spiritual amnesia. We've forgotten who we are. Identity crisis. Who am I? That was also mentioned by Sanatana Goswami at perhaps their very first, his and Rupa's and Anupam's very first meeting with Lord Chaitanya. Kayami, who am I? The local people referred to me as Panditji, but I'm such a Pandit that I don't know who I am. So, Jivora Swarupoi Krishna Nitya Das, Krishna Das Kaviraj. And Lord Chaitanya have very mercifully given us this understanding of who we really are. We're us as jivas, our swarup, our form is eternally Krishna Das. Nitya Krishna Das. Krishna Dasi. So we're getting this knowledge, it's coming down. Avaroha Panta means knowledge which is coming down from higher authorities. But people in this age, we're very slow in the manner of spiritual realization. Manda sumanda matayo. We have this word sluggish in English. And we sometimes observe that slugs and snails, they move very slowly across the landscape. But eventually they get where they want to go. If you see a snail or a slug moving across the lawn, but you go away, but then come back an hour later, you see actually it's travelled quite some distance. So I'll only speak for myself, being very sluggish in the manner of spiritual realization. But as long as we don't commit offences and we keep following the program, the process, we actually, in course of time, even our progress may be slow and steady wins the race, eventually, yes, we'll achieve the desired perfection. The fifth goal of life, wonderfully, Prema Pumarto Mahan. Beyond Dharma, Artha, Karma and Moksha is Prema. And on Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day, I was doing some extra reading. And there was a time in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life, the year 1868, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was stationed in one of many, many towns. He served in the British government of the time. That town was called Dinajpur. And it was there that Thakur Bhaktivinoda, who always was a spiritual seeker and is an eternally liberated soul, but again, for the benefit of conditioned souls, he appears to be playing the role of a conditioned soul and a spiritual seeker. But it was in Dinajpura that Thakur Bhaktivinoda had what we can only describe as his epiphany. He had profound realizations and made a complete commitment to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Because at that time in Dinajpura, there was a large community of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, still practicing very nicely, and some of them were Goswamis and very renounced persons and vastly learned. It was a very pious place, a large congregation, 1,400 Brahmin families. So, and that was where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote one of his earliest devotional books. He'd already authored a number of other books in his early life, but it was there that he wrote a book which he titled Sat Ananda Prema Lankara. And Alankara, some of us may know, means ornament or decoration, and it's a word which is used a lot in classical Indian music and dance. So again, this word prema we find there in that early book. And soon thereafter, a number of those venerable Vaishnavas, after reading that book written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they conferred upon him the honorific title of Sat Chit Ananda Bhaktivinoda, which the glorification be that he was the personification of eternality, knowledge and bliss. And soon after that, the Thakur was transferred again to Jagannath Puri. And then his bhakti, really flourished when the Thakur lived in Puri. And by that stage he had achieved a very high rank in the British administration, district magistrate, and he was put in charge of rectifying any anomalies which may have been going on in the Jagannath temple. And he did that. And there's even one pastime where Thakur Bhaktivinoda was visiting the temple early one morning, and there was recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam going on when the king of Puri arrived with a large entourage, soldiers, and the king was making a lot of noise. There was a real cacophony going on, and Thakur Bhaktivinoda chastised the king and even made him pay a fine. And the king was very repentant and appreciated. Yes, Thakur Bhaktivinoda said that Bhagavatam is being recited over there, and there's many people sitting and listening, and you're coming in here making this big hubbub. So he did like that. So some other interesting examples which we can try and which we came across. In the manner of Caitanya Mahaprabhu being the giver of the gift, sometimes described, that we always remember the giver of a gift we receive from them. And in this regard, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, something was definitely known about Krishna prior to Mahaprabhu's appearance. But Mahaprabhu expanded upon that unlimitedly. So he is Krishna himself, but he's giving the gift of Krishna and the gift of love of Krishna. So we always, and someone may want to argue what or who is more important, the giver or the gift that the giver is very, very magnanimously giving. So that is there. And we know there's definitely more pleasure in giving than receiving. We get more happiness when we give Krishna consciousness to others. That's the unique, wonderful, inner, deep meaning of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So, and he gave Krishna. This name Krishna is described in the Vishnu Sahasranam as the foremost name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's said, Vishnu Sahasranam means the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, and it's said there that you have to chant 1,000 times the name Vishnu to get the same spiritual benefit of just chanting once the name Rama. And you have to chant 3 Ramas to get the same spiritual benefit as just chanting once Krishna. So, so Mahaprabhu's great gift to the world, and in this regard, we hear of the wonderful pastimes that Krishna performed with Balaram 5,000 years ago, and especially Gargamuni performing the name-giving ceremony of the 2 divine personalities, Krishna and Balaram. And Nam Karana. And that name-giving ceremony for babies must be performed within 100 days, it's said, of their birth. So, Gargamuni, also known as Gargacharya, he was there, and Nanda Maharaj asked him, "You please give the names to these 2 boys." So Gargamuni agreed to do that, and he did it in the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj, adjacent Nanda's palace. And because of the atrocities of Kamsa, the 2 Supreme Personalities had been brought there. Vasudeva and Nanda were good friends. We refer to Nanda Maharaj. He was a king of the cowherds, and Vasudeva, of course, was a great Kshatriya residing in Mathura. So, and it's significant that so the word didn't get out. Only a few persons, perhaps Upananda, some of the other brothers of Nanda Maharaj and their wives were present. And they did it at a quiet time when all of the cowherd men had left the cowshed. The ladies were off doing their chores at home. No one was around. And Gargamuni it's fair to say there was trouble in paradise at that particular time, when Krishna appeared, just as there was certainly trouble in paradise when Mahaprabhu appeared. But he gave this name, and we know Krishna means all attractive. Sad Aishwarya. Purna also, another of the Lord's foremost names is Bhagavan, which means he is the unlimited reservoir of all opulences, beauty, strength, fame, knowledge, wealth, and renunciation. That description Parasara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva, has given in the Vishnu Purana of God, Bhagavan, he who is unlimitedly opulent. Vidvan, we heard from Gurukul headmaster on Tuesday. Vidvan means one who is full of knowledge. So it was done, and Gargamuni also explained that this son of yours, Nanda, he has appeared before in different colorations, white, red, and golden, specifically. And we could also add the coloration of Lord Ramachandra, which is the color of fresh grass. He explained that the son of yours, he will be just like Narayan. In fact, he will have all the qualities of Narayan. He more or less came out and said, or he may as well have said, your son's God. But he didn't quite say that. So, but yeah, there was definitely cause for caution, and he was the priest of the Yadu dynasty. And it said that that ceremony was performed there because the cowshed is always in a purified state. Even there may be some cow dung here, some cow urine there, no problem. Just as we in recent years have been having our wonderful Gopastami ceremony, where our cowherd men and women bring some of the cows right here into the temple room. And the deities get to see the cows, and the cows get to see their lordships. And yes, sometimes they pass stool and urine. And everyone goes, Haribo! It's very purifying. We used to shock some friends or extended family members when we were moving from one rental accommodation to another rental accommodation for many years. And the first thing we would do before we moved in, or when we were moving in, was get some cow dung from New Govardhana and put it in the oven and then fire it up. Much to the shock horror. How can you do that? That's the dung of an animal. Yes, but it has all antiseptic properties, and it purifies, and it smells very sweet. So this name-giving Nam Karana ceremony for Krishna and Balaram was done in the cowshed. And just in that little, just on that note, Krishna likes to see the cows. Cows like to see the Lord. There was an incident where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was visiting one famous temple, ancient temple in India, and one of his local disciples noticed where he was standing and went to him and said, Guru Maharaj, if you stand over here, you'll be able to see the deity better. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied, but Krishna can see me better when I'm standing here. So, just wondering if we should stop here, everyone, and just see if anyone has a question or a comment at this point in time. Anybody? Do you want to grab the microphone, Prabhu, so anybody else out there in cyber land can hear?
to the class first. This Noah Husam Shah's interesting history. He took birth as Kalanami, he was killed by Vishnu, and then he took birth as Kamsa, killed by Krishna, and then same person, Jiva, took birth as Noah Husam Shah. So he wasn't a saint. I mean, you heard he killed his own boss and took his spot, and then of course, the line of Nawabs, or kings, they committed a lot of atrocities, and you see after Nawab Hussain Shah, as Prabhupada mentions, that his son took over and he was killed by his own people. It was that bad. So I just wondered that the Jiva that was this personality, is he a demoniac personality just arranged by Krishna to take, just to give some rasa to the Leelas, or was he, like Jai and Vijay, they're devotees, but they're playing that role? How do we understand that?
Achincha Shakti, very, very hard to understand, Prabhu. Yeah, inconceivable. Could be manifold reasons, especially coming back again and again and again like that. I remember there was one incident in Canada where there was an Indian man who was coming to some of Srila Prabhupada's lectures, but he seemed quite hostile. He had some issues, this Indian man. But Prabhupada was very tolerant, and even though he had a little bit of a challenging attitude, Prabhupada tolerated that, and eventually became more favourable. Prabhupada shared with one of the early disciples there that I did something to that man in our previous lifetime, and now he's come back, and he's giving me some grief now. And that was Prabhupada's, as Trikala Gya, an hour of past, present, and future. Prabhupada understood that, realised that. And there's another famous story of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur hearing kirtan going on the road outside the yoga pit, and inquiring from one of his disciples, is it a festival day today? And the disciple said, no, Guru Maharaj, that man who used to come and also challenge you very vociferously, he's just died, and that's his funeral procession going past. And they saw tears in the eyes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And the disciple was going on. He was so offensive, Guru Maharaj. He was so challenging. But that wasn't the way that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saw that particular fellow. And he said, no, he was my guru. He taught me tolerance. So we've got some guests here, everyone. Jai Hare Krishna. Come on in. We're just wrapping up our class. Please come for darshan. Beautiful. Well, no, we'll come right in. Please, you're welcome. All right, everyone, we'll finish there. Jai Sri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai.